we used to tell users that they could not wear shirts like I'm very intentionally wearing right now, because the camera would struggle to converge on anything but plain.
That's the Moir effect, right?
Video conferencing back in the day was extraordinarily special. Now, video conferencing is ubiquitous, but we have lost some of the specialness. And the specialness was we were creating a broadcast space.
I can put as many DSPs as you want in a system, but if you've got a line array pointing at a flat back, glass wall, square room, yada, like, I can't fix that, period.
Yellow. You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel.
Acquisitions and mergers continue. Mistakes to avoid in your video conferencing spaces. And where all-in-one displays belong in Pro AV. All that and more. Next on AV Week. This is AV Week. Episode 730, recorded Friday, August 15th, 2025. The AV End User Problem. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and stories in the AV and IT world. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. This week, we've got mergers and acquisitions, and I am shocked by that news. Royal Awards and Cloud AV updates. Let's get into it. Yorktel and Kenley, two of the major players in the AV systems integration and managed services spaces, have officially merged, creating a combined force with more than 1,600 employees, 900 plus industry accreditations, and a footprint spanning 27 locations worldwide. Yorktel brings over 40 years of expertise in enterprise video, collaboration, and public sector deployments, while Kenley is known as one of Europe's largest AV and unified communications providers with more than 25 years in the market. Together, they'll serve over 2,500 customers globally. Yorktel CEO Ken Scaturo called it, quote unquote, growing with purpose, while Kenley CEO Tom Martin framed it as, quote, shared vision to empower organizations to work smarter across the globe. In the digital signage space, Sambori Labs has acquired UK-based Signage Live in a move that creates what they claim is the world's largest independent, channel-only CMS provider. By the year's end, the combined company expects to have more than 45 developers working on product innovation, including advanced API-first and headless CMS capabilities, AI-driven analytics, and new integrations with emerging signage hardware. Signage Live CEO Jason Cremens will stay on to lead the division, while Navori is looking to expand its global reach into new markets. Netgear has become a founding member of the OpenAV.Cloud initiative. It's a vendor-neutral group focused on advancing cloud-managed, software-defined AV infrastructure. The move complements Netgear's own Engage controller platform and the M4350 series of switches, which already targets AV over IP deployments. The initiative's goal is to create interoperability standards as well as APIs and security best practices for managing AV networks from the cloud. It's a shift away from hardware-centric systems towards centralized cloud-native control, a change that is already transforming IT networking and is now accelerating in AV. President and CEO of Shure will deliver the keynote at the 2025 SAVE Global Conference in Los Angeles this December. SAVE, which stands for Sustainability in AV, is focused on the industry's role in environmental responsibility. Shure has made sustainability a visible part of its strategy, announcing earlier this year that expects to achieve 90% recyclable or renewable packaging across its product line by the end of 2025, ahead of its original schedule. The keynote is expected to address the intersection of AV innovation and environmental stewardship, including supply chain practices, product lifecycle management, and corporate accountability. Finally, Nareva CEO Nancy Knowlton has been awarded the King Charles III Coronation Medal, recognizing her contributions to business, education, and philanthropy. The award was presented in Calgary on July 15th. Knowlton has led Nareva's push into audio conferencing solutions for hybrid work and education, while also maintaining active roles in charitable and education initiatives. Now, the medal is a personal honor. However, it is a reminder that leadership in AV increasingly includes thought leadership beyond technology, includes it in community, engagement, accessibility, and the broader social impact of our industry. That is your AV news. Stick around for this week's roundtable, where we will dig into all-in-one displays and the top video conferencing mistakes you must avoid. This is AV Week. All right, welcome back. This is an episode I don't have to say a whole lot because Rebecca Sullins is here. How are you, ma'am?
I'm great, Tim. Nice to be here. Thanks for letting me spill my beans.
Absolutely. Also with us, my buddy, Mr. Brock McGinnis. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Always great to be here.
And last but not least, a young man that finally returned my phone call after 15 years and countless, me groveling. Mr. Frank Paticala. How are you, sir?
Hey, how's it going? Fun story. I've had people walk up to me and ask me, Frank, why aren't you on AV Week more often? I'm like,
and was your answer because I don't answer Tim's text?
This is a narrative that is not true. I'll just say it at the start. Yeah. But nice to be here.
Thank you, sir. All right, got a couple stories. First one, piece out of AV Network, avnetwork.com. It talks about the latest generation of all-in-one AIO displays. Now, they are aiming really quickly to make large format visual deployments, quote unquote, faster, cleaner, and more accessible. Manufacturers like Epson, LG, Planar, D10, Philips, Samsung, everybody under the sun, they're all rolling out pre-configured LED and LCD packages that include integrated processing, sometimes speakers, certainly mounting, often designed for single-day installations. I remember all of them are looking for single-day installations. Epson's got models like their X163. They are all pushing ultra-thin displays, if any, ultra-thin bezels, if any bezels at all, as well as high screen-to-body ratios. These folks are looking to make direct view LED equivalent, and I'm going to say that's Tim's word, equivalent to a large display. So instead of a 110-inch, because I'm old, plasma, you've got a 110-inch direct view LED, and it, certainly equal to brightness, but also in prices and ease of use and ease of installation. Brock, I'm going to start with you on this, both from the benefit side, but also the negative side. What should IT managers, AV decision makers, and integrators, what are the benefits of these all-in-one displays, but also what are we giving up in these all-in-one displays?
The direct view LED manufacturers are brilliant in bringing these things out because the barrier to entry was a ton of expertise in getting LED panels, like direct view LED panels installed properly, getting the pixels lined up, getting the XY, in your case Z axes correct. And so there were only higher end applications. There were only really smart integrators or installers using them. They brought out these all-in-one packages, and it was like pretty much anybody can install one. And real fast, real simple. Some of them come in 2 chunks. Some of them come in 4 chunks. You plug them in with an HDMI cable, and they just work. And so the ease of deployment, the speed of deployment is absolutely incredible. And, there have been a lot of us in the industry who've made a pretty darn good living replacing 2x2 55-inch LCD panels with, 136-inch or 163-inch all-in-ones. And they're pre-configured at HD, or they're pre-configured 108, 110-inch at 4K. So you don't have a lot of flexibility. It's not a video wall, like it's not a multi-view monitor. It's a cheap and cheerful, large format projection replacement or 2x2 video wall replacement in rooms that have more than 15 or 20 seats, and where the 98-inch TV is too small. The 110-inch TV, the one that's available on the market, or two, they're a little too small for all those, is it discus calculations, Rebecca? And we love them. We use a lot of 136s in meeting rooms. They're about as large vertically as we can put in a standard, 9-foot high office, and still have room for a camera bar or whatever underneath. And I don't think you're losing anything if all you're looking for is a TV, like a display monitor on a wall. Brightness is good, contrast is good, and there's now glue on board, chip on board, flip chip options. There are touch screen options. They show up at the shop, and 12 hours later, they're up, they're working, and they're invoiced.
Brock, I want to pick on you for a second, because I actually have a genuine question here. You said you made the comment that these aren't video walls. I've considered these kind of the dummies video, a dummy video, like remember the Internet for Dummies. This is like the video wall for dummies.
They're not a tiled video wall in the way that we used to take a bunch of TV monitors, narrow bezel, ultra narrow bezel monitors, and stack them all together and try and create a larger image than we could with the biggest available piece of LCD television glass.
Okay.
So yes, they're a video wall, not just, and they're tiled, but they're not modular.
There we go. Okay, I got you. Frank, same kind of question. Is this a solution looking for a problem, or is this something that whether it's in boardrooms or in higher education, that really is a good solution here?
It absolutely is a great solution, because I think the biggest tendency that I see the AV industry slowly going away from is over-designing spaces and over-designing and over-complicating installs. I think these all-in-one displays, to Brock's point, give you an opportunity to kind of have an easy deployment that's not design-intensive, right? Now, I think what happens in a lot of these design meetings is, unfortunately, we throw around like our favorite term, like, what are you going to use the room for? And the response is, it depends. The minute you hear it depends, all creativity just gets sucked out of that design session, right? There's no more, it's dead. There's nothing happening after it depends. Because what you've done is that you're trying to do multiple things in a space, right? And you're trying to do a whole lot. And now you're doing, but what ifs, and so on and so forth. And I like solutions like these because they kind of keep it purpose built, and you now have the flexibility to change if you want to. A lot of these conference room spaces today, are being reconfigured, right? We had a whole huddle space era. The space still remains, but that's not enough, or it's too much. This is where all-in-one displays come in with not just the video part of it, but, you have examples like Neat and, D10 on there, which are also excellent ways of looking at UC platforms in which you're basically bringing in an entire UC collaboration, video conferencing, audio conferencing unit into a space, and you've now converted your space into whatever you want it to do. Now, the way technology platforms are evolving is that we're also looking into kind of building on these. Like, we have companion Zoom rooms, for example, or companion whiteboards, where you can have one of these, you bring it into a room, now you have an add-on. So there's a lot of flexibility with these sort of devices that we frankly do not think of. But unfortunately, and when I say we, I mean on the AV side, because we like designing things, we like good solutions, and we like to do things the right way, and we like to look at every single viewing angle possible. But there are end users out there that are deploying hundreds and thousands of these, and you don't even know about that because you're the AV guy and you want to be designing things. And they're like, no, I'm good with this. It works great for our application. So I think we need to find the balance of the use cases and being open to where we can contribute to the implementation process, which is unfortunately when there is no design, we feel like we're being left out. That is not true. We just have to learn to think in a different way. The user experience should be the driver of all things use case and design.
All right, Becca, you'll have the last word on this. What are we giving up and what are we gaining with these all-in-one kind of turnkey video wall solutions?
Let's just say we all have our own horror stories, right, about these horrible installations gone wrong. I did, actually, fun story, I did actually install the second only of the 110-inch plasma displays back in the day. It weighed 500 pounds. We had to bring in a structural engineer to rebuild the wall to put it on. So, like, we've been there, right? Okay, nobody wants to do that. I put up a video wall once where my company had to manufacture specific brackets because we had an 1/8 inch tolerance over a 24-foot wide wall. Like, that is not okay. So that's where stuff like this comes in, right? Ease of use, ease of installation, getting rid of these, you know, if we as my company did not have the capability to design and manufacture these specific brackets, that installation never would have happened, right? And we were lucky for that. But so ease of installation is magnanimous, right? And it will get so many more people into this technology and using this technology, which is great. However, to Frank's point a little bit, we need to be aware, there's a demarcation line, right? Where this is not going to be the solution for every install. And it can't be, because some of them need more flexibility, right? And especially me, I'm a big audio nerd. If you're trying to install the exact same all-in-one with the same speakers in every room that you go into, half of them are going to sound like crap, right? So it's not the be-all, end-all solution, and we need to be aware of that. It's, you know, not to pick on the boomers or anything, but they always complain that, you know, why are cars so much more expensive to fix these days when you used to just be able to go out back and do it with a wrench and your dad, right? It's because we've integrated everything into one big computer in the car. So now you have to fix everything when you fix one thing. That's going to be this if we're not careful. One speaker goes out, do you have to replace the whole thing? You can't just replace that speaker now, right? So we have to be careful when deploying solutions like this, not to assume that all-in-one means one size fits all.
All right. There's a joke there about me and my dad and me getting the wrong wrench. That I
Never get as long as you're holding the flashlight in the right spot. That's what's important,
yeah,
right?
always drop the flashlight. Always grab the wrong wrench because I couldn't tell the difference between a crescent and a crescent and a channel locks. That was always my issue.
Tim.
I know. I'm 50 years old and I still don't know the difference. All right. Next story comes to us from our friends over at AV Magazine. A recent industry roundup highlights the most common and costly mistakes organizations make with their video conferencing setups. The issues range from mismatching room size and equipment capabilities to neglecting proper cable infrastructure. A little bit what Frank was saying, to overcomplicating the user interface. Some problems are purely technical, like signal degradation over long cable runs without extenders, while others are human-centric, such as inadequate user training or inconsistent user standards. Mr. Patakala, we'll start with you on this. We're not going to beat up the list. We're going to add to it. What other highlights or what other mistakes can we highlight for both integrators as well as AV managers?
I think the list is very comprehensive. Now, I saw this article and I was really impressed because it seems very simple, and I'm sure every one of them read through the top 10 and thought, oh, I've seen that or I've done that. And it's all a part of I think it covers everything. Quite honestly, my perspective on conference room spaces or spaces in general is that there's two elements, right? There could be equipment technology error, or there could be a design error. When there is a technology issue, most likely there's going to be a bad user experience. When there is a design flaw, it is going to be a bad user experience every single time. And unfortunately, with the way projects are happening and kind of leading from our previous conversation about how we'd like to simplify things, the design part of it is being overlooked a lot. And from my own personal experience over the last, 9-10 months, my biggest conversation going back to the AV industry and going back to the UC folks and to the many end users have been about how can we better design spaces. You know, it's an art that is almost forgotten because there's so much simplicity and there's so many different options and things can be done right. And I think Rebecca nailed it when she said a balance needs to be found in terms of what do we need to overlook and where can we kind of save and optimize and where do we actually need to, invest our time. Spending time on a good design does not mean your project has to become more expensive. It just means that you have thought out the space and you've thought out the use cases. And I think this list covers it pretty well. As long as we are focusing on good design and using some of the AV basics and then choosing whatever device you want, I think we'll be in a good space.
Rebecca, a little bit different take on this. When you look at this list, Frank said that it's a comprehensive list. So, okay, take a look at the list. Which one of these have got the biggest hidden cost to them? Like which ones should IT managers really hone in on and eliminate if they can to reduce their overall costs?
The biggest one I would say would have to be overcomplicating the UC, right?
Okay.
That's the big one because people are tired. People are exhausted. And I say this as an exhausted human being, okay? When I walk into a space and I'm busy and I'm in the middle of a project and I have 15 deadlines looming and I've got another meeting in 15 minutes and, my kid's calling me from school because she forgot her lunch and my feet hurt because I had to wear high heels because I'm meeting with a customer today. The last thing I want to do is walk into that room and have to fiddle with a bunch of buttons that don't make any logical sense to me, right? And so when that happens and I get frustrated and I get angry and I say, screw it, we're just going to sit here and talk to each other. Guess what? That room doesn't get used anymore. Guess what? If I'm the one in charge, I'm going to IT and I'm saying, redesign that room. That's where your cost lies, is in humans. It's you can design the most perfect system on the planet, but if it exhausts the users, you're going to have to redo it. Period. People are tired. People do not want to have to, make things easy on people. Period.
All right, Brock. Either take it one of two directions. Either can you add to the list, or which one of these is the most expensive for folks to deal with?
So back in the day, we used to inform interior designers what kind of paint to use in a video conferencing room so it wouldn't be reflective. And we used to tell users that they could not wear shirts like I'm very intentionally wearing right now, because the camera would struggle to converge on anything but plain, and blue is best.
That's the Moire effect, right? M-O-I-R-E.
That is it, Moire. That is exactly what it is. Because video conferencing back in the day was extraordinarily special. Now, video conferencing is ubiquitous. But in its ubiquity, we have lost some of the specialness. And the specialness was we were creating a broadcast space. These were really quiet spaces. There were no cameras that were pointing out windows. There was illumination. We put a lot of very special lighting in to illuminate the people's faces sitting around that boardroom table. And now people seem to think that any dang room in any dang building is a great place to have a video conference. And I don't care how much One Beyond magic or Zoom heroics that you put into a room. You cannot overcome a bad space for video conferencing, right? You can't do it. And the interior design industry kind of needs to wake up to the fact that glass fish bowls, not so good. If we're trying to eliminate all of that noise. What does the AV industry do? We come up with noise fences and sound blocks and things, and we now have cameras that fence because they had to, because we were trying to do video conferencing. I think number 11 on the list to me is put the video conferencing system in an appropriate location. advise your client that there will be drawbacks and penalties to just throwing it in any given room. You guys are grinning.
No, this is one of my favorite subjects ever because I love to teach at trade shows and whatever every year. I am an audio geek. I'm a physics, acoustics, physiology geek. I can go into this kind of stuff all day long. But one of my biggest takeaways in my favorite class that I teach every year at Infocom is a computer cannot overcome really crappy design. Period. I can put as many DSPs as you want in a system, but if you've got a line array pointing at a flat back, glass wall, square room, yada, like I can't fix that. Period.
But AI.
Gee, come on.
AI can't fix that.
We almost made an entire episode without saying AI, right?
So close.
Yeah,
So we call ourselves AV integrators. This is the integration of technology into the built environment. And I've been doing this a long time. And the built environment is often as important to the success of the purpose of the room. What is the purpose of the room? The purpose of the room is to meet. So shouldn't we be doing things that enhance the ability to meet as well and as easily and as fatigueless as possible? How about some lighting so the far end people can actually see the expression on my face, how disgusted I am at some of the spaces that we're forced to work in, But I think I'm preaching to the choir. Frank had it right for sure. Let's do this intentionally and do this as well as we can. And then people will like it and they'll do more of it.
I am 100% just sort of laughing at the irony of looking at this podcast right now. All three of y'all, beautiful visuals, yada, yada, yada. Frank's got freaking mood lighting behind him, right?
He has a disco ball, yeah.
I clearly do not care about my lighting, but I am wearing $700 headphones. You can tell where our priorities are.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to ask a dangerous question to end this podcast, and I might even get a cup of coffee while Mitchell deals with this. I hear you all. I agree with you all. How do you convince the customer of that?
Well, it depends on the customer.
Well,
so
here's the thing, though, Brock. If you're having this conversation, it doesn't depend on the customer, because if you're having this conversation, it's the same freaking customer, right? Regardless of
No. It very much depends on the customer.
Okay.
So if the customer is an IT person who's managing a lot of rooms, their priority is managing those rooms as easily as they can and hitting their CapEx budget. And so good enough is good enough. If I'm dealing with marketing who's trying to sell a product or sell a service, they will listen very, very carefully to this. And if I can show a C-suite person the difference between looking spectacular on camera and sounding amazing, not in the room, not the experience they have in the room, the experience the people at the far end have. Come to my house and listen to somebody in your room sound as good as Tim Albright, right? And look as good as Frank Patakala. That's what the CEO wants, right? Oh, and well, they are already as smart as you, Rebecca.
Nobody is as smart as me, Brock.
Nobody's as smart as her.
That's why they're the CEO. But this is the challenge. This is the challenge that we all face. We can't simply fill out a quotation and say it's good enough, or that one size fits all.
Somebody said a little bit earlier that, video conference, and I think it was you, Brock, that video conferencing has become ubiquitous, right? Like everybody's on it all the time. I've been on 5 today. And that can actually work to our advantage, because who in this world has not been on a crappy teleconference in the middle of a Starbucks in an airport and knows how difficult that is, right? Now, people may not really understand that until you bring it to their attention. My mother, for example, she is notorious for this. She likes to call people and again, I'm going to pick on the boomers. Sorry. But she likes to call people on speakerphone and like put her phone down and then do things while she's on the phone.
I hate it when they flush.
Oh my! No. She was washing dishes once, like with the water on and the phone sitting next to the sink. And because she could hear my brother, who was on the other end of the line, perfectly fine, she didn't think about it. So I turned off the water, and she made a big fit about, oh, I forget you're really sensitive to noises, because I'm very orally, and I was like, no, Mom, I want you to experience something. So I switched that around, and I did that to her, right? And she was like, oh, I didn't even think about it from the other person's point of view. So everyone has experienced this, and if you can remind these people, hey, guess what? If you put this system into this room, this is what it's going to sound like. It's going to sound like you're in a Starbucks in an airport all the time. You need to rethink your infrastructure and your environment. And at least people can relate to it a little bit more easily now because we've all done it.
And, that's a great point. I just want to add that I feel like the distance between the user of a space and the technologist who builds the space is too far. Whatever it takes to close the gap will solve a lot of these problems. You don't want, and no offense, we're all technical people on this call, but you don't want an engineer to design a space thinking purely about the user experience, because that's not.
I am just getting the mistreatment on this one.
Because they don't care about the user, they want the technology. And the user experience person thinks about, well, if I can do away without this, can I do it, right? There needs to be a balance. I think technology has evolved to the point where you don't need multiple SKUs to accomplish the same thing. The same device, if you've picked out a camera can do multiple things today. So it's not like you have to go in and invest like something 30% more expensive. So the cost is not the concern. It's just that how are you functionally designing the space? And that, I think it's an end user problem, to be honest. It's like the issue lies, to Brock's
point. Aren't they all end user problems?
They are, but the thing is, it depends on how these projects go, right? Sometimes it's not the end user problem, because if it's a construction project, the end user doesn't even know what they're getting until they actually walk into it, right? And so you've had like 16 layers of people making assumptions about what could be done. And it all started off with somebody saying, we need 30 conference rooms, right? And we have 1,500 people who are going to occupy this space. And that's it. That's the design metric.
Our budget for that.
And that is our budget for that. And so you've had like 16 people iterate on what that is. And finally, the person who's actually using the room walks in and says, what the hell is this? This is not what I wanted, right? But I think the good thing is technology is flexible and powerful enough to kind of work with them and make those modifications. So we need to start thinking about day two, right? Most of that AV mentality revolves a lot on day one, getting things going. We're a very get things functional industry. No, we need to become a maintaining things functional industry, which means redesign, recommissioning could be a reality for it. And I know it doesn't, integrators are probably like, oh my God, like, I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. But maybe equipping your end user with enough tools to do some of these things, disseminating information better, training people, getting them understanding about what the AV in the room looks like are all factors in it. There's no one solution to any of these things. I think it's going to be a combination of things. And depending on the stakeholders, it'll keep changing. But I think we have to be prepared to build spaces that are more, like I said before, intentional. And sometimes you may not get it right the first time around. That's just the reality of it.
That'll be a good place to stop. Thank you all so much. Rebecca Sellens, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your time.
Are you sure about that? I don't know.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks,
I don't know about
Tim.
these other two yahoos.
We all appreciate your time, Rebecca. Come on.
Thanks.
How do people connect with you if they want?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Rebecca Sullins, Sullins. I am the only one, not a common last name. You can email me at rebecca.sullins@ampthink.com. I got off the Twitter, so don't look for me there. But you can contact me anywhere else.
Or just say bad audio 3 times and Rebecca
I will appear like Bloody Mary and fix your ears, yes.
I was going to say Rumpelstiltskin, but that works too. All right. Brock, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you?
Also on LinkedIn, or I'm Brock at nationwideav.com.
All right, very good. Finally, Mr. Patakala, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you?
Rank Patakala on LinkedIn, and that's probably the only social media that I'm actually on right now.
For me, for Tim Albright, I usually say don't follow me on anything. This part of the year, I am getting ready to complain about the Bears for about the next 4 or 5 months. Chicago football, American football Bears, for those of you overseas. But a couple things. First of all, if you want to read some stuff that I write that has nothing to do with AV, you can find me on LinkedIn. As of this recording, I've gotten myself involved in something that I unintentionally did. I am up for a South by Southwest talk. I submitted this, so I did this to myself. But it's on the operating system that you use to run your life. And you have to vote, which I didn't realize when I submitted it. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find out how to vote there. But that's probably about the best place. But if you would, please go by the website, AVNation.tv. That is AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others. And this coming week starts about 2 months of us on the road. The first stop is Las Vegas for Bixby Beyond. I'm doing a couple different panels, August 18th through the 21st. And then we are heading to Amsterdam for IBC, the 12th through the 15th of September. And we've got a couple other things happening, but those are the most immediate ones. But go by the website, avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That is all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AV Nation.
This is AV Nation.